It was a warm summer's day on June 26, 1996. At around 1 p.m, a red Opel Calibra stopped at a traffic light near Newlands Cross on the outskirts of Dublin. The female driver was on a call with a friend and didn't notice the two men approaching on a heavy white motorbike. The motorbike pulled up slowly beside her car. The passenger on the back dismounted, catching the driver's attention, and she saw he was armed with a handgun. Before she could attempt to move the vehicle, he fired 5 shots through the driver's side window, striking her in the chest and neck. By the time the police arrived, the woman was dead. This was by no means a random shooting. It was planned with military precision and would change the criminal landscape within Ireland forevermore.
You are watching OCG TV. Before we start, think about all the time you spend scrolling on your phone, on your commute, or relaxing at home. Now imagine if that time actually counted for something. I found a way to do exactly that. It's an app that literally pays you to play games on your phone. It's called Cash Giraffe, and it's completely free on both iPhone and Android. Here's how it works. Choose a game you love, play as usual, and the app earns you coins in the background. Then cash them out via PayPal or trade them for Amazon gift cards and brand discounts. I've been playing my favourite game, Family Island, on and off for 3 days this week and made over $10. Cash Giraffe took no fees and I didn't need to put any credit card on file. They've already paid out over $10 million to players, and if you play during weekends or daily promos, you can rack up even more bonus coins. Use my link in the description or pinned comment, or scan this QR code here on the screen right now to grab Cash Giraffe, and you'll get up to 3,999 coins just for signing up. Play your games, earn some cash, it's that simple.
The first radio bulletins were sketchy, saying only that someone in a red sports car had been murdered execution-style at a major intersection outside Dublin. The police and reporters on the scene knew the victim's identity, they just didn't want to believe it. When Veronica Guerin was murdered, she was not only the most famous journalist in Ireland, but she was also something of a national hero. Her exposes on the criminal underworld in Dublin and the violent rise of powerful drug dealers captured the nation's attention. Though she only worked in the field for 6 years, she remains one of Ireland's most well-known journalists, thanks to her determination to reveal the capital's rampant drug and gang culture. When news spread that it was Veronica Guerin, it touched the Irish soul. People left flowers and cards at government buildings. There was a national moment of silence at offices and factories around the country. Thousands of people attended the funeral, including the President and the Prime Minister. The stories she wrote took her readers into an island few people ever saw, away from the peaceful streets of a tranquil country, into an underworld of drugs and organized crime. Inner city neighborhoods were gripped with a growing heroin epidemic. In Dublin alone, more than 8,000 addicts fueled a relentless demand. The struggle to control this highly profitable trade frequently turned violent. Between 1994 and 1996, there were a dozen gangland murders. None of them was ever solved. It was as if no one cared, except for Veronica Guerin, who spoke out frequently on Irish television. The gangsters finally had someone to fear. From the mid-90s, Guerin began to write about criminals for the Sunday Independent, using her accountancy knowledge to trace the proceeds of illegal activity. She used street names or pseudonyms for underworld figures to avoid Irish libel laws. When she began reporting on drug dealers and gathering information from convicted criminal John Traynor, the threats began. Her connection with Traynor would ultimately lead to her death just a few years later, but more on that shortly. The first physical warning occurred in October 1994, when 2 shots were fired into her home after she published an article on murdered kingpin Martin Cahill. Guerin would not back down. A few months later, a masked man called to her door and shot her in the leg. Had this happened in modern times, it would have been tangled in corporate interference, concerns over liability, duty of care, and insurance would dominate. But these were different times, and Guerin was a different kind of individual. Her employer, then the Irish Independent, had a £25,000 security system installed at her home. Police offered her 24-hour protection, but she turned it down. Acting on information provided by John Traynor, Guerin travelled to North Kildare on September 14, 1995 to confront John Gilligan about the origins and staggering scale of his wealth. The visit did not go as planned, and the journalist was allegedly subjected to a serious assault. Gilligan had been released from Portlaoise prison in November 1993 after serving nearly 4 years for warehouse robberies, enough to purchase Jessbrook, a £4 million equestrian centre in Enfield, County Meath, along with several other assets. While a portion of his wealth came from the smuggling of cigarettes, the majority stemmed from his highly profitable cannabis trafficking operation, making him an ideal target for one of Guerin's probing investigations. The day after Guerin's visit, Gilligan telephoned her at the offices of the Sunday Independent. According to witnesses, he voiced his displeasure at her unexpected house call.
"If you do one thing on me or write about me, I am going to kidnap your son and ride him. I am going to shoot you. Do you understand what I am saying? I am going to kidnap your fucking son and ride him, and I am going to fucking shoot you. I will kill you."
Undeterred, she intensified her investigation into Gilligan's empire, determined to expose the scale of his criminal operations, relying on a network of contacts to gather information. During one of these clandestine conversations, Guerin had unknowingly revealed a small detail about her private life, never imagining that it would set in motion a chain of events leading to her murder at a red traffic light. Traynor, her so-called tout, was feeding her information, but like many in the criminal underworld, he was playing both sides. And so, on that fateful sunny afternoon, her enemies knew exactly where she would be, as she spoke into one of the 2 mobile phones she always carried, leaving a light-hearted message for a police contact about a £120 speeding fine. She barely noticed the motorbike pulling up beside her. The passenger leaned toward her window. Seconds later, she was dead, slumped across the passenger seat, killed by 6 bullets from a Magnum .357 revolver. Operation Alpha was immediately launched, one of the largest criminal investigations in Irish history. Over 3,000 people were questioned and hundreds of premises searched. Given his association with Veronica and the nature of his drugs network, Gilligan became a #1 suspect early in the investigation. 2 motivations for the murder were attributed to Gilligan. First, he wanted to stop her from testifying in an assault case, fearing her evidence would lead to his conviction and imprisonment. The second was the impact her ongoing investigations were bound to have on Gilligan's drug trafficking operation, exposure that would likely have landed him in prison regardless. Garda believed that John Gilligan, referred to in their investigation as Person A, planned the murder, which was then carried out with clinical precision by his associates. One individual provided information about her movements, allegedly John Traynor. The stolen Honda motorbike used in the murder was said to have been taken by Russell Warren. The bullets for the powerful .357 Magnum revolver were primed by Charles Bowden. 2 men carried out the assassination. Meehan drove the bike, while the gunman was believed to be Patrick Dutchy Holland. The first breakthrough in the case came in the October, when a 33-year-old former Army corporal, Charles Bowden, was arrested. When Garda presented him with photographs of the crime scene, he broke down almost immediately and agreed to turn state witness. The following day, a raid took place on a lock-up garage in Harold's Cross, believed to be the centre of Gilligan's distribution network. Bowden revealed that over an 11-month period, 33 shipments of cannabis, valued at approximately £2 million, had been smuggled from Holland to that location. He also led investigators to a graveyard in Talla, where they uncovered a hidden arsenal of firearms and ammunition. Among the cache were 56 bullets compatible with a .357 Magnum revolver, the same type of weapon used in Veronica Guerin's murder. The same day, Gilligan was arrested at Heathrow Airport as he attempted to board a flight to Amsterdam. Brian Meehan was already there, but it didn't take long before he was cornered in the street by a Dutch SWAT team. The game was almost certainly up. By the time the case reached court, the state had secured another key witness who had turned against the gang. Crucial to the prosecution was Russell Warren. Like Charles Bowden, Warren entered a high-security witness protection program after agreeing to testify against his former associates. The men upheld their end of the bargain. Bowden, in particular, did not hold back when giving evidence.
I knew what was going to happen that morning. I knew Veronica Guerin was going to be shot or shot at. That something was going to happen to her, I don't deny that. I didn't know the exact intention of what they were going to do. It sounds very naive that I didn't know she was going to be killed, but that is the truth. I didn't think they would be stupid enough to kill a journalist. It's one thing to kill a criminal, that's one thing. But to kill a female journalist to get out of going to jail for 6 months? It didn't make any sense then, and it doesn't make any sense now.
This should have been enough to secure a conviction, but the judge found both state witnesses unreliable. While their testimony couldn't be entirely dismissed, it wasn't enough to convict Gilligan of murder or firearms offences without corroboration. He was, however, convicted of major drug trafficking and sentenced to an unprecedented 28 years. It was only Brian Meehan who was convicted of murder after he refused to name his accomplice on the motorbike. Though he denied involvement, the court found him guilty based on forensic evidence and witness testimony. He was given a life sentence and is due for release later this year, having served almost 30 years. Patrick Holland was never charged with the murder. Instead, he was prosecuted for drug trafficking and would serve only a portion of his 9-year sentence. John Trainer was never punished for his alleged role and died in 2021. Though those behind the killing served little time for the act itself, the murder of Veronica Guerin became a turning point, the moment Ireland said no more. The creation of the Criminal Assets Bureau took place almost immediately after her death. CAB was empowered to seize assets believed to be the proceeds of crime, even without a criminal conviction. The government passed new laws to crack down on organised crime, including the Proceeds of Crime Act 1996, which allowed the state to freeze and confiscate assets suspected to be criminal. Her story inspired films, documentaries and books, bringing global attention to the dangers faced by reporters covering crime. Journalists became more cautious, and media organisations reviewed safety protocols. Veronica Guerin's legacy is seen in these lasting reforms. Her death was a national tragedy, but it also became a turning point in Ireland's fight against organised crime.